Okay, we're going to remove these two camshafts now. As you can see, there's cam caps over each one of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This here is the intake. This is over here is the exhaust. And what we want to do is when we take these caps off, we want to be sure that we put them back in the correct order and in the same orientation. For example, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As far as the cam cap, same numbering over here on this side for the exhaust. And say, for example, this one right here be number 3. Now, to keep up with these, I'm going to take them off. And when I take them off, I'm going to put a stamp right over here on the side. And I'm going to put a I over here, and then I'm going to put a number 3 over on this side. So that way when I put it back, I know my eyes will be out here to the outside, facing to the intake manifold. Now back over here on the exhaust, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to put an E over here on each one. And on this side, I'm going to label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now to break these, I'm going to start in the center. We break them loose about a quarter turn, and then we work our way down. I'm going to start in the center, come over here, break a quarter turn, come back over here, quarter turn, come back over here, quarter turn. And I'm going to keep doing that, alternating about a quarter turn until we finally get the tension relieved off of the valve springs, and then we should be able to just lift this here camshaft out. Okay, I've already started breaking them loose a little bit, and as you can see, go about a quarter turn, work your way down the camshaft, come back on the other end, come down to this end, and you just keep working this thing back and forth just a little bit at a time till you can get this here tension breaking off on these valve springs. And they're starting to loosen up pretty good here now. So I think all the tension is off right now, because I don't feel any tension on the bolts. We just keep turning them on out. As you can see, they're pretty loose now. So just kind of work it on down. By the way, these bolts are not that tight. I believe the torque setting on it was 71 inch-pounds, so they're not all that tight. Now once you get the bolts loosened up, don't take them all the way out. Just get them out where they're still intact. And what you want to do is you want to try to break it loose. Lift the cap on each one. Okay. Then I come back over here. Usually what's going to happen is this here on the front cap is going to hold the camshaft down, cause of the seal, kind of maybe stick it in place a little bit. So go ahead and take this out. Now we just lift that on out of the way. Now just give you a shot of that so you can see what it looks like. And we're going to replace both of these seals in here while we're here. Now we should be able to lift the camshaft up. As you can see it'll move now. Okay, now at this point it's just a matter of just going right on down, taking your bolts out. Make sure you keep up with your end cap, where it goes, and the orientation. You want to put this one back exactly like it was, this one going there, all the way down the line. And like I said, I'm going to mark it on the side here. I'm going to stamp it a little bit so we can keep up with it. Okay, now that you have all your end caps off, and I took them and set them over there on the bench. I haven't marked them yet, but I have them in the order, exactly like I took them off. They're all in a row, laying on the bench. And once you get that end caps off, you just, now simply, you don't want to scratch these lobes or the journals here. You want to just kind of ease this thing up, straight up. And there's the intake camshaft. Now you show you a shot of the seal. It's pretty darn loose. It probably was leaking a little bit. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna replace that. And you want to make sure too that you don't get this here camshaft mixed up with this one. So put a marking on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this stuff up when I get ready to assemble it. I like to use mineral spirits. Just drop this thing in a little tank of container of mineral spirits. Let it sit overnight. It'll take all this here varnish rather, and the oil stains and everything on it, and very little cleaning. And like I said, keep up with it. So we know this is the intake camshaft. So put some kind of marking on it so you don't get these things interchanged. Okay. All right, these are the camshaft caps. This is for the intake camshaft. All right, this one here is the front. Now, the way this is laid out right now, this is towards the front of the car. This here is to the back of the car. Now what I did is I took like for this one right here, I want to know that that goes back onto the intake. I just took and put a stamp right there. I just put an I, and what I use is these here. I got a set of tools here where you got letters and numbers, and so I just stuck an I on there so I know this would go into the intake. Now for the next one, which is in the second place, I put an I up here. That's towards the back, which will be pointing towards the intake manifold. And this here will be the number 2 position. So I know that it'll go on just like that. Same for this. Here's the I, back to the intake. Here's number 3 position. I, and there's a 4. And last, an I and a 5. And what I did is you just take, you take these things, got a steel block right here. And you just take and put it up here like that. Take a hammer, put it in place, just give it up 2 or 3 taps, and then come back and then get your number, put it down, a couple of taps, and you'll be good to go. That's why when you take and clean these things up and put them in a solvent, then you'll still have your markings there so you'll know where they'll go. Okay? Okay, we're going to protect this camshaft till we get it back in place. So what I've done is I've taken a rag, put some clean engine oil on it, and just kind of coat this thing down, wipe it down, get some oil on there. You could probably see Josie's tail in here. This is our little Eskimo. She wants to help. In fact, I'm just going to kind of pour some oil on down on here. It's probably a little bit faster. Okay. And just leave the seal on there. That way, at least when your parts come in, you can have it compare, you know, to make sure you got the right parts here. Get your oil all on there pretty good. Once you do that, if I can get this here saran wrap, just kind of hold the oil in place and also give it a little bit of protection because you don't want to get this thing nicked up. Throw it around, throw it around. This oil will just keep, help to keep it from rusting. And the saran wrap, keep the oil in place, keep it from the air, and also it actually give it a little bit of protection, from the nicks and scratches and things of that sort. Josie, what do you think, girl? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, let's take in right on here, intake. Hands a little bit oily. And we'll just take him, kind of wrap him around there. And that ought to hold on there. So now we know that's the intake camshaft. Okay. And then we'll set them aside in a nice safe place. And now we'll start working on the exhaust manifold. We'll do the same thing. We'll keep up with our caps, mark them. The only difference is that instead of putting an I, we'll put an E there. So it'll be E. And the difference is on this one, I use the I to know it's pointing out to the intake manifold. And in this case, we're going to put the E over on this side. That way it'll be pointing to the exhaust manifold. So the orientation will be correct. Okay, one last thing that you want to do is you want to throw some cellophane wrapping around each one of your camshaft caps. The reason for that is you don't want to take these and just throw them in a bag where they can rattle around and hit each other, because you have machine surfaces on each one of these that that it rides around on the journal of the camshaft. So you don't want to get any scratches and nicks on that. So I've took and wrapped it up along with the bolts, and at this point, and I just went ahead and marked them, although they are marked on the caps. That way I'll know right off the bat what they are. And what I do is I take and got intake camshaft caps, and I put in here the letter I points to intake manifold. That's just a reminder for me when we put this stuff back together. So now when I put them in there, I know they're all protected and they're not going to get scratched and dinged up. And then we can set those aside, and now we can start working on the exhaust camshaft now. Okay, all of these are the exhaust camshaft. This one right here, just to show you the difference. On this one, I marked the E, so I know that'll go with the exhaust. And if you look right over here, I just turned them on the side. Now in this case, I put the E on there, which is going to point out towards the exhaust manifold. So like I said, the E's will be pointing out to the exhaust manifold. So when I put it on, and this is number 2 up here, so it'll go on just like that. Then the same here, you see I got an E, got a 3 up there. I have an E here and a 4 there. And then I have an E here, and then there's a 5 there. Now again, take and wrap each one of them up in some cellophane, mark them, put them in a bag. This way you will not get these here surfaces here scratched up, because you do not want to get any nicks or anything in there. Okay, so, and do the same thing with the exhaust camshaft, like I did with the intake. Pour some oil on it, get some cellophane, wrap it up, and then go ahead and mark it. This one here got intake. I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to just write exhaust. Alright, as you can see, we have the camshafts are out of there now. And now what we have is the lifters. This is all the lifters here that's on the intake side. Here's all the lifters on the exhaust side. Now, you can try to get your fingers in there, but it's hard to do. Try to get them out. The easiest way to do that is just get you a magnet. I got one of these telescopic ones, and just do it and just lift it straight up. Now if you look right in there, you can see the inside. Okay. Now you want to be sure that you keep these lifters, if you're going to reuse them, make sure they go back exactly to where you took them out. What I got over here, got a little compartment, and it's actually got eight compartments here. So I've already got it marked out. Here's my I1. I'm going to label this I1, 2, 3, all the way down to I8. Over here is E for exhaust. I'm going to call him E1, E2, E3, all the way down to E8. So the ones I take out, and I'm going to turn it up right, like this here. And then we're just going to go down the row and just pop them and organize them. Fortunately, these here, so far, coming out pretty good. I have seen some of them, I mean, where they are actually ground and had nicks all around them. So far, we're doing okay. And I got a little bit of gasket material. Came off of the camshaft cover gasket. Okay. Okay, they all came out pretty good. Now I can look at the valves. Now all the valves right now, they all should be up. And just as a little comparison, look at this valve right here and these two right here. You can see that the top of this here valve spring retainer, you can look at it and see the distance right here. Now, let's take a look back over here on this side and see the big difference. You can see that these two valves, the intake valves, are way down there. So we know those two are bent pretty bad. Look at these over here. Those are bent pretty bad. Look at these here. Looks like these two are bent. And also, these two over here, they're bent pretty bad. So it looks like, just looking at it for observation from the top side, it looks like all 8 of these intake valves are bent. Now let's go back over to the exhaust valves. Now if we look, we can kind of sight and look, and we can see the height of this, and we'll compare it down to here. They look about the same. They look the same, and looks the same down here. And that's kind of correlates with what we determined on the cylinder leak down test. It looked like we had the exhaust valves were all looking good, and it looked like the intake valves were having the problems. So that's kind of like confirmed. But once we pull the head off, we'll do a little more inspection, and then we'll be able to tell. Okay, now once you get all of the lifters, get them organized like you want them, and get you some oil, clean engine oil. Just fill it up. Fill up. Fill the lifters up. This here kind of keep them preloaded with oil, and also to help keep these things from rusting here, because we're going to be in storage a little bit. So get the head pulled off, get it machined, got to get the parts ordered, that kind of stuff. So this is kind of like keeps it stored. So once you do that, then we'll close it up, and then we'll take it and store it somewhere. Okay, I thought I would show you the sequence of loosening the head bolts up. This is out of the service manual. They showed recommending 1 down here. This is the front of the engine. 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, and 8, and 9 is right here. This was a typo. They had 6 here. As you see, there's a 6 and there's a 6. So there's 9, and then it's 10. So that's what we're going to do. We'll loosen it up in this sequence. Like a quarter of a turn. Just ease off each bolt just a little bit and work your way around in this sequence here until you get all the bolts loose. Okay, one thing I I want to mention before you break the bolts loose is the previous owner, looks like they didn't take that good care of the engine here as far as oil changes. There's a little bit of sludge, you can tell that from looking up here. All right. And also, some of this sludge is down inside the heads on here, like right here. You want to make sure that you get this stuff out of here, because you want your hex wrench to go down as deep as you can down into these here socket head bolts, because you don't need this crud in here to, you know, to limit how far you can come down. And there's just an example of what was down inside the that one bolt there. So make sure you clean this sludge out good. Take an air hose, blow it out good. Make sure like I said, your heads are clean before you try to break it. Because worst thing we want to do is strip out one of these heads, and then we can't get this, strip out one of these bolts, and then we can't get this head pulled off of here. Okay, one other thing I noticed here, this here hose, plastic hose, I guess you could say. This here bolt needs to come loose to separate it from this part so the head can come up. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. That's a 12 millimeter. Also, I've got the bolts breaking loose. They're broke on the cylinder heads. And I tried to do it by hand, but you could just forget that. These jokers are tight. So I wound up putting the impact wrench on them to break them loose. And even then, it was 2 or 3 seconds before it would even budge to break loose. But anyway, so we got it broke loose, and so we're gonna give it another shot here, see if we can't break the seal on this head to get it on up. Okay, I want to give you guys a shot of the head bolts. There's 10 of them. You can see there's a washer on each one of them, and there you go. You can see the inside down in there. What that looked like. Actually, I see now that it's a Torx fitting, and I was using an Allen wrench on it, so it's a wonder it broke loose. So let me make a correction. It's not an 8 millimeter hex wrench like I was talking about. It's actually a Torx fitting, and it's a T55. And it had so much crud and crap down in there, and it was hard to see, and I just took it thinking it was hex, but fortunately I got it broke loose and it didn't strip anything out. So anyway, T55 Torx for the head bolts. Okay, it looks like this head ought to come off now. Oh, this thing is pretty heavy. All right. Now you can see the here's the intake valves we were looking at, and we can see that both of those are popped open. This one is open. This one is open. That one is open. That one is open. These two look like they may be closed, but it looks like we still have some leakage. Well, I can see right now that the exhaust has a very slight opening on this valve, slight opening on this one. These two appear to be closed. This one is slightly open. This is slightly open. At this point, I'm just going to replace all these valves. It looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 valves, maybe even this one here. So 10, maybe 11 valves. So, at this point right now, I'll just say I'm going to replace them all. So, let's take a look at the pistons. Make sure they look okay. Okay, you can see right here, this is where the relief is in the pistons for the intake valves. You can see it nicked on it, but I'd say this piston looks like he's still pretty good. Now looking down on number 2, same kind of scenario. but he still looks good. Number 3, kissed on it a little bit, at least it ain't broke in two. Okay, number 4, cannot tell where it even hit at all. Of course, I think that one's down here. It was very little opening on it. So, I think we're okay. Yep. I believe we'll be okay. Okay, so it looks like at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a head out. I'm going to get some new valves. I'm just going to replace them all, intake and exhaust. Going to put new valve seals in it, and I'll have the machine shop to do that, and they can check the head for see if there's any warpage. And this head here, looking at the specs on it, it's 1/1000th of an inch. And that tells me that this deck here, the deck on this block here needs to be in pretty good shape too. So we're going to clean that up a little bit, and we'll get some gaskets, and we'll put this thing back together, and hopefully this thing will run pretty good. Alright, so I'll stay tuned, and I'll keep you posted as this here project progresses. One last thing I want to show you here is I got some oil drench rags. And I don't want these cylinder liners to get rusted up, so I don't know how long the car is going to be sitting until we get the head machined and the valves and everything there. So what I did is I got 3 rags. I got each one of them is oil drenched. Wipe the liner down really good with oil, and then just take the oil drenched rags and just fill it up until you get to the top, as I'm showing right here. The other 2 on the outside should be okay. They're at top dead center. And then once you do that, you want to take and just cover up. I got a couple of oil drenched rags here. I'm just going to cover the top of the engine deck here. All these small holes, orifices and everything for the water coolant, pass it through. We do not want anything to fall down in there by accident. So I'm going to cover up this top of the deck until we get this machine work done. Okay, as you can see, I've got the deck covered up now. There's 2 rags over top of the deck. I've got some oil on the rags. And so hopefully this should keep everything intact, keep things from falling down, and till we can get back to this here engine, putting it back together. So like I said, I don't know how long it's going to take for the machine shop to do this work. Maybe a couple of days, maybe 1 day. So tomorrow I'm going to try to see if I can get this head sent out and get it worked on, and then we'll get back onto this project. Well, that's it for now, guys. Leave your comments. I sure would appreciate it. Let me know what you think, and y'all have a good one.